Good morning. I'm Mike McMullen, president of the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce. We're happy, not as happy as if we were live, but we're very, very happy to bring to you one of our commissioner updates. We do 5 of these a year, one in each area where one of our commissioners reigns, as we say. And we're happy to kick things off today. We're going to hear very soon from the president of our commissioners board, Commissioner Steve Wantz. I want to thank everybody who had a part in helping to make this happen. First off, our friends from CMC. They stream these things live for us, all of these events, every time, and we couldn't do what we do without their help. This will be streaming live on their actual YouTube channel, their HD 1086 on Comcast, along with Channel 19, and it's going to be on their CMC website. So if when this is over, if you know somebody who'd like to watch it, you can share one of those actual links with them. They'll be able to find it again. So I want to thank our sponsor today. We'll hear from her shortly, and that is going to be Andrea Bursler, who's the executive director of Carroll County Public Library. Want to thank our actual chair of the board, Mr. Steve Aquino. He'll be handling a lot of the announcements and things throughout the course of this event. And a couple of the ABCs of Zoom. Everybody should know these by now. We hear these all the time. Keep yourself muted if you're not actually the one who's supposed to speak. And just keep in mind, if we can see you, we can see you. That means everyone can see you. So if you fall asleep there or something, that's not going to be good. Commissioner Wentz won't be happy about that, and he could make life a little difficult for you at times. And so could I. So other than that, then those are the announcements. We will do question and answers at the end, and we'll use the actual chat box for that. So that is what I had to say. So I want to turn things over to the MC of the day, and that is Mr. Steve Aquino of Aquino Financial Group and the current chair of the board for the Chamber of Commerce. Steve, they're all yours.
Well, thank you, Mike, and good morning, everyone. We got a great program again this morning for everyone to get updated from our county commissioner, Steve Wantz, and we're looking forward to hearing what he has to say. He says he's going to be all over the map this morning, so we'll all try to hang on and hear every word that he has to say. We got a beautiful day today. I hope everybody made it through the storms last night, which were crazy. I sat on my front porch and watched it coming through and seen it coming through, Carroll County. So I hope everybody made out okay with that. But with that being said, we do have some, very good other events coming up here in the near future that I like to kind of run through so everybody's aware of, and hopefully everybody can join and be a part of it. The first one that we have coming up here after this program today is going to be May 5th, which is tomorrow. I'm a little bit biased on this one because it is the chat with the chair. It's a very informal time where we get to, do some question and answers, try to help each other out, and be there for each other from the chamber standpoint. So if you can make it, please try to sign up for it. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, and just, shoot an email over to Peggy or someone if you haven't signed up to be a part of that. Next, on May 6th, we do have a virtual nonprofit mini expo. There's going to be 15 nonprofit chamber members on the new Remo platform. This is a great platform really to try to, get each other talking to each other without being in person. So it's an interesting thing to go through, but it'll be a great event. This is from 3:45 to 5 p.m. and it is free. On May 18th, we do have a fantastic speaker that's going to be on Zoom for us that the chamber was able to get. It's going to be Anaban Basu giving an economic outlook. That's from 8:30 to 10. And that one is also free. And this is going to give a great update of, over the past year of what we dealt with from the pandemic to where we are now from an economic side, from not just, a big global side of things, but also how does it really affect us here at home. On May 20th, we are going to have a luncheon. This one will be live. It'll be at the Best Western with the outgoing McDaniel College president, Dr. Roger Casey, and incoming president, Julia Jaskin. This is going to be from noon to 1:30, and the cost is $25. Food is going to be catered by Outlaw Barbecue in Hampstead. So if you haven't signed up for it, you have some space available. This would be a great opportunity for us to start getting back in the swing of things, being live together. And we are accepting applications for the 10th annual Carroll Biz Challenge through the end of May. If you haven't done so, please get those applications in. The grand prize this year is $10,000 plus about $15,000 in non-cash prizes. So if you know someone that's just starting up, someone that's just maybe a year or so into business, and has, an opportunity here to really help themselves out and be a part of this great event. We are still also accepting applications for the Leadership Carroll class of 2022. There are 2 spots available. Again, we always talk about this program and how fantastic it is to really get educated and learn about the ongoings of Carroll County. So if you're interested, please get a hold of Mike so you can get one of those 2 spots. So those are our announcements and upcoming events. Again, they're all on our website, so check them out. Register for them, be a part of it, as we always do here with the Chamber, of really trying to get out some great programs for everybody. Mike had mentioned earlier about our sponsors, and obviously there's such an important part of our Chamber to have sponsors that help us put on amazing events like this, to hear great speakers, and all that kind of stuff. So I would like to go through a couple of sponsors that we have today to say a few words. Our first sponsor is Andrea Burstall, Executive Director of the Carroll County Library System. Andrea, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you, Steve. And thank you, Mike. We are always, as always, delighted to partner with the Chamber on these events, and to hear from the commissioners. We're really very sorry that this is not in person. It's so much better when it's in person, but we're looking forward to that happening real soon. First of all, I also want to wish you all May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Today is Star Wars Day. So as you know, libraries are manned by lots of geeks, and so this is a holiday for us in some ways. In fact, we're having a Star Wars program this afternoon. If you get really into it, you can stop by our website and check it out. Star Wars crafts for everybody this afternoon. We also want to thank the commissioners for doing this. Normally, like I said, we would be in their we would be in the library, so we would be in Commissioner Wantz's district in the library there, and greeting people in person, and hopefully we can do that real soon. The library is really pleased to be able to be here and continue to serve the public during the pandemic. We've set up some brand new services like express pickup, where you can not only place items on hold, but they'll be checked out and ready for you to go. All you need to do is kind of a grab and go service. We've been doing that since last June, and we continue to do that for people whose lives are just busy and they maybe don't have time to do their browsing in person. They want to do it online later in the day. So utilize that service. We continue to build our online programming. We continue to build our online collection. Our digital library now holds as many titles and carries as many programs as our physical buildings almost did. And while it's not quite the same, we were talking about that before the program started, it is a great way to connect with people safely. It's also a great way to go back and watch. Many of those programs are recorded, and they are on the library's YouTube channel, and you can go back and see them at your leisure when you have time to catch up on the latest author event or our latest STEM programming or story time. On May 7th, we have our Battle of the Books celebration. Unfortunately, all of our battles are held in a closed environment to keep them safe for the students, and so that we can make sure we can regulate everything that's happening there. But we do a celebration on the 7th, and we invite you all to attend. And last but not least, we're closing in on the date when we will be able to open Exploration Commons. This one-of-a-kind makerspace is not only unique for Carroll County, but it's actually unique across the nation. We will have a teaching kitchen, a commercial teaching kitchen in the space. We'll be able to teach workforce development skills. We'll be able to hold all sorts of culinary classes, cooking demonstrations. We will have about 1,400 square feet of high-tech makerspace. 3,500 square feet of high-tech makerspace with some of the latest technology there available for the, for the public to come in and use and learn, to develop business prototypes, to do sort of your own little R&D department for some of you. It's also a chance to come in and explore some technologies that maybe you've always wanted to try, but you didn't want to invest in some money in, and you can see whether or not it's something that really will help your business. In addition to that, we'll have meeting facilities from 8 up to 150 once we're out of COVID protocols. And we'll be able to hold all sorts of events there for you. And we're looking forward, Mike, to having some of the chamber events there, including possibly Commissioner's Breakfast, maybe even later this summer. So your library's here, we're open, we're working very hard to provide you with all the services that we possibly can during these times. And we just want to say thank you to the chamber and to the commissioners for their continued support of the work of Carroll County Public Library. And with that, I will turn things back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Andrea. We really do appreciate your support and sponsorship, through all these events. Next, we have another sponsor that I'd like to introduce, Richard Turner from the CMC. As Mike said before, they do a fantastic job, are always a great partner with getting great events like this out to everyone. Richard?
Great. Thanks so much, Steve, Mike, and all the commissioners. Great to see everyone. And, we're here as a streaming partner, try to help communications happen here in our community. We're really fortunate for the commissioner support that makes it happen for us and for our community. And as Andrea mentioned about like Exploration Commons being a treasure in the area, so are we. You can go to other counties close by and there isn't an equivalent community media center. So we're very fortunate to have the kind of resources made available to us and to you. For our community. So to that end, I know your calendar is already full. You've got all these dates that you've been giving you, but I'm going to give you one more, which is to do a save the date for June 26th, which we are working with the Historical Society, which will hopefully be the last virtual gala of the season. So June 26th, we are working with them. We're looking forward to having some great entertainment. And help highlight some of the great work that the Historical Society has been involved with in our community and help support them in their mission as they try to make up the difference for the loss of revenues that they've had because of COVID-19 and the pandemic. So June 26th for that, we hope to see you then. And with that, I'll just remind you, Mike is going to remind you to shop local. I remind you to watch local. Check out our website at carrollmediacenter.org. Channels 1086. Watch also for those of you who are going to be going to the polls in your municipalities. We've got our elections guide. So you can go to our website and see all of the candidates who are running for offices in our local municipalities and our candidate forums. So with that, I'll turn it back to Steve. Thanks very much. Good to see everybody.
Thank you, Richard, so much. Really appreciate all of your support. And with that being said, again, I'd like to thank everybody for being a part of our program this morning. Richard, throughout what I was going to say, make sure you support your chamber members, shop local, and be involved with the chamber as much as you can and come to all those events that we had mentioned earlier. So I thank you again all for being here. And at this point, and now I'd like to turn it over to our key speaker of the morning. We'd like to say thank you to Steve Wantz for being here and all the other commissioners. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to Steve Wantz, President of the Carroll County Board of Commissioners. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve, and I appreciate the promotion. I was the president, but now I'm happy to say that Commissioner Ed Rostein took over my spot. But it's only been about.
Oh yeah, Mike always throws out something to throw.
So that's probably my fault. My fault.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm bad.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
That's right.
But it brings up. Listen, it does bring up an interesting point because whether you're the president or vice president or what have you, I think it's always been important. And I've been in this job now almost 7 years. I think it's always important to remind folks that the 5 commissioners are all equal. Might be a title here and there, but we all work together, which makes Carroll County very unique. So first of all, a couple of things. I want to thank Mike McMullen and the Chamber of Commerce for continuing to make the effort here to try to make things normal. It's what do you want to call the last 13 months or so? I don't even know what to say, but everyone stepped up, as they always do in Carroll County, to make the effort to bring some normalcy here. And I always speak highly of my county because I've been here for 64 years now. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be 64 this year. I only act like I'm about 44, and I only look like I'm about 34. Any applause? Come on, people. Anything? Nothing. Okay. Anyway, anyway, it's that. Thank you, Mike. And there. Well, okay, Richard. Seriously, okay. But I'm very, very proud of this county and what it has done in the past, what it continues to do, and what it will be in the future. And it all begins with departments like and groups like the Chamber of Commerce, because we do it like any other jurisdiction in this state. And I can tell you that for a fact, because in my 7 years, I've been heavily involved in all things state of Maryland as well. And I will get to those in a minute. But anyway, I want to thank Mike for all your efforts at the chamber. So thank you. And our sponsor, what can I say? Andrea is just amazing. The library system is amazing. So thank you all very much for what you do, and also for bringing some normalcy throughout the last however many months it's been. So we truly appreciate that. I want to start off this morning on a little bit of a somber note and pay tribute, and I would be remiss if I didn't do this. We've lost two incredibly important gentlemen in the last, week and a half, 2 weeks. Obviously, you can't go through every one that is no longer with us in the county. And I want to give certainly my condolences to everyone that's lost a loved one, especially over the last 12, 13 months. But these two gentlemen were instrumental in making Carroll County what it is. And I want to give my condolences on behalf of all of us here to the Hornberger family and his network of friends, who many are involved in the chamber. Ken was a true small business supporter. I laugh. I always talk about how I went to Forbidden City and always saw Ken sitting in the back booth, helping with the peas and the products that came into there. And boy, did we create a ruckus when I walked in the door. And I'm sure that were many entertaining times for folks that were in there dining. But Ken Hornberger, your fingerprints will always be on Carroll. And then certainly another gentleman who I just talked to the week before last about turf fields in Carroll. He and I used to go back and forth a lot about turf fields. And I can't believe that he is no longer with us as well. And that's the Bird, Robert Bird Brown. Two incredible individuals that, like I say, left their fingerprints here on Carroll. So to their families, to their extended families, I want to say and give our condolences. So as my friend Steve Aquino said, I'm going to be all over the map this morning. My wife and I were away for a long weekend trying to clear our heads after what has been an interesting budget session for us. And I'm going to touch on that too here in a few minutes. But just getting back in very early this morning, I'm going to try to hit and bounce off of most everything that I can here. That's how I like to try to do it. And then we'll see where the questions come when I'm finished. The first thing I want to point out is we have a 4.4 unemployment rate, 4.4% unemployment rate here in Carroll. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Everyone that has businesses in Carroll, that's the lowest unemployment rate in the state of Maryland. We are tied with St. Mary's County right now. But, if that's not a good sign of things starting to get back to normal, then I'm not sure what is. I stopped by Westminster National Golf Course last week. Ryan Kraushofer, who's the manager over there, is a very good friend of mine. And I said, hey, how's it going? His business is up 200%. So bottom line, if folks have money to play golf, apparently the economy is coming back as well. So that's a good sign. And, excited about what lies ahead here as we try to climb out of all things COVID. So, positive signs, good things going on. Let me hit on COVID a little bit. I know everybody's had it up to, well, I'm about 5'7" or so ish, way above me with all things COVID. Yeah, I know. With all things COVID, but I want to just touch on a little bit. And the reason I want to touch on it is because I remember last year at this time when I had this virtual event, we were just starting to really feel the effects of what it meant and what was going to happen. And without going back and revisiting that incredibly negative time, I just want to give a shout out to everyone, again, that was involved in making sure that Carroll County continued to function in the way that it has. And that's everybody. We often say a huge shout out to our first responders who were always on the front lines from day one. Absolutely. And all of you know that I'm coming up on my 46th year as a volunteer firefighter here in Carroll. So that's public safety is near and dear to my heart. But it's not just that. Our Carroll Hospital Center has been amazing. The LifeBridge family, amazing. Our emergency management folks, amazing. Our dispatchers, the nurses, the doctors. And where would we be without Ed Singer and the Carroll County Health Department and all things that they have brought in order to keep us going? So I'm not gonna dwell on that much longer, other than to say, folks, we can't give up wearing these lovely little things yet. It amazes me as how these lovely little things became so controversial. Not sure I get all that. I'm not sure I ever will. I guess that's the ugly part of politics that I always try to keep over here to the side. Because when I took this job, I said I would approach it with common sense and the fact that I've ate, slept, and breathed here for 60 some years. And I believe it's worked. But when I see some of the ugliness that goes on associated with these nice little masks and all things COVID, it quite frankly continues to make me sick to my stomach. And we've seen the true meaning of of how folks feel throughout this COVID thing. And I'm just going to leave it at that because I don't want to go any further, but it's just been amazing to me how folks have taken this and tried to turn it into all things political, and quite frankly, made it a little bit difficult for those of us that are in the trenches trying to get us through these things. So let's not give up on these masks things. I know that we now here in the state of Maryland, by the way, we have followed the governor's team and his efforts to a T throughout this whole thing. We've never veered. We've stayed right with that. You can agree or disagree with him and his team, but we've stayed constant with him. So that's a good thing. We got to remain vigilant with these things, but now that the weather's changed and we can all be outside, a good sign. But let's not let our guard down, folks. I want to get out of this. I want to get back to doing this in person. And we're not going to do that unless we all continue to be all in on this, wearing these when we have to. And oh, by the way, getting your COVID shots if you need to. And I truly do think, without getting on my soapbox here and not giving you one of the Steve Wantz sermons of the day, I truly believe it's necessary if you want to get back to normal to get vaccinated. With that being said, here's a commercial, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow, up at Northwest Middle School in Taneytown, there is a COVID vaccine clinic scheduled from 9 to 1. We've been hearing on the news, if you pay attention, that supply now exceeds demand. And that's where we are here in Carroll as well. There are a ton of openings tomorrow at Northwest Middle from 9 to 1. If you know someone that needs a COVID shot or hasn't gotten it yet, on the fence, whatever, either give me a shout or give the health department a shout later here this morning and get lined up and get scheduled to get up there and get a COVID shot. Very easy. The health department has made an incredible, easy effort here when you go to these things. So take advantage of that. Like I say, give me a buzz. It's in my district up here tomorrow morning, or give the health department a call, and we'll see that you guys get scheduled if you know of any friends or acquaintances that need the shot. I'm going to leave COVID alone now and move on, but I will say, like everything else, yes, I've heard a couple of folks say, we want to get back to normal, want to get these things back in person, as do I. But on that note, man, have we all become very savvy with all things virtual. Pretty cool. Got to tell you, we've all learned another, we've all learned another art of doing this. And it kept me from having to get in the car and battling the Beltway every Wednesday and Tuesday sometimes to go to Annapolis. So it was a lot easier to just come onto the computer screen and go doink. And for folks like Mike McMullen that apparently don't wear pants sometimes when they're on the, well, I heard that was a rumor. It's easy to do that. So anyway, so all savvy with the virtual, but we're doing, I think we're doing real well. We should get back here as soon as we can to all things in person, which is good. Before I forget it, one other thing about COVID, the county office building, beginning June the 1st, we will be opening back for those folks who want to either pay their tax bills in person, because a lot of folks like to do that and get that receipt handed back to them in their hand, or come in for a permit. So that counter service, if you will, we will be back to normal operations there on June the 1st. We're still going to emphasize that if you need to talk to anyone else in the building, that we are still by appointment only. But the June 1st deadline or the June 1st opening, I believe, will make it a lot easier for people to be able to do that day-to-day operation that they like to do here at the county office building. So that's June the 1st, and we're looking forward to that. While I'm on the county real quick, I always give this out when I'm on here. We've got a ton of openings for folks that would like to serve Carroll County when it comes to boards and commissions. We've got an opening on planning and zoning. We've always got openings on the Board of Zoning Appeals. Those two specific boards really are interesting. They set the tone for the future of Carroll. And, I find them to be something that you can really get your hands into and really get involved in Carroll County. So if you know of some folks that want to serve specifically on either of those two, and this is the perfect place to put this out there, because our business community, those in the chamber, listen, you folks know a ton of people that would love to do that. So get on to our website. I think Richard's putting that up right now. Thank you, Mr. Turner. Appreciate that. It's a simple fill out an application, and then you go from there. And it's not only planning and zoning and Board of Zoning, but we also have openings on a ton of boards and commissions. So it's a great way, if you don't want to get jammed up with politics to that extent, it's a great way to delve into the county and get a real true feeling for how the county works. And it'll give anybody a chance to say, hey, I was a part of that. So get involved, pass the word. We would love to have more folks, new energy, new ideas, get involved in our county. And if you're looking for anybody, the next thing is, if anybody out there is looking for a job, I think I counted like 14 job openings right now in county government. And, you know, not a bad gig. Pretty decent pay, incredible benefits, and pretty good job security. So if you're looking, if you know someone that's looking, again, get on our website and look at our employment opportunities. A lot going on and a lot of openings available. Anybody notice the surfacing out on 140? Anybody had a stone fly in their windshield over the last 2-3 weeks? I've talked to a couple people who've had that happen. Yeah, there's Steve raising his hand. Yeah, I had a friend of mine have a chip in their windshield. The State Highway Administration is making sure that that's taken care of. So Steve, if you've got a crack, give me a call and we'll make sure we get that taken care of. But interestingly enough, our Secretary of Transportation here in the state is a gentleman by the name of Greg Slater. Some of you might know him. Greg went to Westminster High School, and his mom and dad still live in Westminster. So we've got a close personal contact here in the governor's cabinet, and we've got a lot of blacktop being put down on our state highways around Carroll County. So they're working as hard as they can to get that done, and it's going to be smooth sailing when that project is done. So bear with it for a while. We're going to see some good things as a result of all of the state monies that we're seeing come in here. I want to touch on the fire departments real quick before I get to the budget. All these things kind of culminate here when we talk about the budget. We've got a newly renovated 911 center. We are fortunate here in Carroll County. There are several jurisdictions around the state that have this, but we're proud to say that we have 2 completely functioning 911 centers. So if one goes down, our folks quickly move and get to the other one. There will never be a time that we do not have coverage of 911. So we're very lucky here to have that. But our primary 911 center, and I don't really always like to give out the location, but I think Andrea knows where it is up and running with all brand new equipment. It's been completely renovated, more user-friendly for our dispatchers. And it's just an incredible space over there. So I want to make sure that everyone knows that. I always say, listen, as I said before, public safety near and dear to me. Our firefighters, our police officers, everybody that's on the front line. But you can't forget about our dispatchers. They are the front line of our public safety, because in most cases, not all, but in most, where does the 911 request start? There's the test question for the day. Pretty easy answer: by calling 911 and talking to a dispatcher. So we can't ever forget the folks that are working over there as well. So we've got some good things going over there. Two up and running sites, and we're very proud of that here in Carroll to be able to say that. Let's talk about rural broadband real quick. Another thing that's near and dear to me, and I've said this many times, it is completely unacceptable to me that in 2021, we still have folks that have no internet. And my district is the primary place where that is true. I love it when folks say, well, 80% of Carroll County has broadband. Well, I can tell you the 20% that doesn't, come for a ride with me and I'll show you where they are. And now that many folks are virtual, not only with employment, but with our schools, etc. I just can't understand why we can't get internet to all these folks. Well, we got some good news last week, at the end of last week. Our staff here has been incredible with this, going after as many grants as we can go after. And I'm happy to say that we've gotten 2 of those state grants. and they're coming in by fall, that will light up 2 of the roads in our county that have 0 internet. And they both happen to be in my district. And man, is that a good sign. More to come because the state legislation of all the things that they did this year, and I'm going to touch on that in a minute, some of them not so good. This one was a good thing. They put a bill in that would have broadband to all of the homes in the state of Maryland by 2025. And I continue to be honored to serve Carroll County as the member of the Baltimore Metropolitan Council. And I happen to be the chairman of the Baltimore Metropolitan Council this year. And on the Baltimore Metropolitan Council, which is a huge advantage, who I had a personal conversation with at the end of last week, is the president of the Senate, Senator Bill Ferguson, who I've been working with for the last 6, almost 7 years on the BMC. And he's putting together a task force, if you will, of making sure that the rural broadband bill will come to fruition by 2025. And he's adamant about the fact that everybody will have it by that time. So that's an incredible thing there. And I'm really happy to say that that's going to be a good thing. So working on that as well. So positive signs here as we continue to move forward. There's going to be a lot of folks that are going to be very happy to hear that. Before I forget it, we need to make sure that we thank all of the folks, getting back to anybody that's put an effort into all things COVID. I neglected to do this, my apologies. But our school system, talk about a difficult time that they had. They've been doing the best that they can. And let me be clear about something too. A lot of us took a lot of heat and continue to over some of the decisions that were made. There was no script for COVID. There was no playbook for COVID. There were no rules that we could pull out. Try Googling COVID rules and regulations last March when it first started. One thing Google couldn't give you the answer to. So all of us were doing the best that we could to make the right decisions. So whether you like it or not, the school system did what they did. But without going too deep into that, I want to give a huge shout out to everybody that's been involved in maintaining the educational structure for our young people here in Carroll County. This is National Teacher Appreciation Week. And, I know the chamber, you guys, Mike, you guys do the teacher awards, which is spectacular. I joked after the last year that we've had, probably every teacher deserved to be given the award. But they've been through a lot, but not only the teachers, but the folks that are also in the trenches in our schools, are the janitorial staff. Talk about a tough job that those folks had. Our bus drivers, our nurses, the folks that were working in the offices of the various schools, the principals, the assistant principals, the guidance folks. I mean, the list goes on, but if you get a chance, make sure you thank somebody that that's been involved in our school system, because they've had a tough time as well. So make sure you do that and give them the kudos that they certainly deserve. Let me get back. See, I told you I'd be all over the map. I went here and then I went back and then I'm going over here and then I'm going to bounce over here. It's like a pinball machine. Let me talk real quick about the legislative session, because what happens in Annapolis directly affects us all. Not only am I proud to serve Carroll on the Baltimore Metropolitan Council, but I'm still serving as on the board of directors of the Maryland Association of Counties, and that's given me a little bit of more insight and personal touch, if you will, with all things in Annapolis. For our business community, our Chamber of Commerce, two great bills that came out, Senate Bill 496 and House Bill 612, which was the Recovery for the Economy, the Relief Act. Direct monies, relief, economic stimulus for not only our families, but our small businesses. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't taken a look, we are still all over that. We've got our latest round of relief funding coming out. Make sure you spread the word to all your fellow folks on the Chamber of Commerce to make sure they're putting in for this relief funding. It's very important. And also Senate Bill 811 was instrumental as well. That's the lower state unemployment tax for small business. That passed. So that was critically important as well. A lot of other, well, let me put it this way. Some other good things came out of Annapolis, but there were also a lot of negative things that came out of Annapolis. And one of those is police reform. And police reform is in the way that it came out of Annapolis. I'm not saying that it should not have been addressed in this session, but the way in which they did it, and I'm not sure. I see Dick, and I think I saw Dennis on here, but my colleagues will appreciate the word that I use. I think I've even talked them into using it sometimes now, and that's absurd. I've used that word a lot over the last 6.5 years, and I guess in my last 1.5 years, I'll probably ramp it up a little bit more. But Dick's covering his head. Yeah, I know. I even heard you use the absurd a couple weeks ago, Weaver. So one time, okay. So anyway, you know, these police reform bills are troubling. One of the most troubling one was a cute little bill called House Bill 670, which sets up an incredibly complicated process for police discipline. That's going to vary from county to county. And it essentially says that we have to put a committee together to look at police discipline and bypass the sheriff, ladies and gentlemen, the elected sheriff here in Carroll County with that. So that's going to be lovely. I don't know what's going to come out of that, but we've got that to work on. Body cams came out, which I'm not sure is these days. I think it's a good thing, and I think our sheriff would agree. We're working hard to make sure that we get those. Right now, we have them in place to get everything together by 2025, so that all of our folks will have one on by 2026. But it's not about equipment. Equipment is a small part of the expense here. The biggest expense is people. You got to have people that download all the stuff off of those body cams, which means about 10, 11, 12 people split between the sheriff's office and the state's attorney's office. So people is a major expense. So we're going to be working on that, but keep your eye on that. That's going to be interesting as we move towards that. How much time do I have, Mike? How am I doing? It's 8:43. Steve, how am I doing? I want to leave time for questions.
Yeah, I'd say that you're doing pretty good. We said this goes till like 9:30, but normally we do it in an hour's time. So
Okay.
You've got a little bit more time.
Okay. Well, you know how I am, Mike.
Oh, I know how you are.
Yeah. So
We could be going till noon.
Yeah, it's a challenge. So
Call you the president and you're good to go for a whole lot more.
right. Yeah. Right. Whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to keep going until Mike gets ready to buy lunch for everybody. Is that good? Thumbs up on that one. Good. Okay. So anyway, I want to just touch on our budget because that's near and dear to where we are right now in the county, and talk about a few of the highlights, if you will. I will say that we had no idea where we were going to be with the budget this year, because after a year of COVID and a year last year, which we flat funded pretty much everything, we found that we had a lot of one-time monies available, more than what we thought we were going to have. So the problem, or the challenge with one-time money, if you will, it is what it is, one-time money. So we could do some things with that, like for instance, here's one that I'm loving life with. By the year 2025, there will no longer be a gravel road in Carroll County. A huge thank you to my colleagues that decided that they got tired of hearing me yap about it over the last 6.5 years. Now they're not going to be smooth, nice blacktop with lines painted. Our great DPW staff have come up with an alternate method, if you will, of what we call paving. So it's going to be a stone, tar, chip type of thing. But the point is, there will be no gravel roads. We've got a 3-year plan that's in this budget that will address every gravel road in Carroll County. So yay to that one. That one to me is almost a mic drop where I can just let it go and then walk out the door. So proud of that one. Another mic drop that I've got, and again, getting back to public safety, is our fire department. I want to point out that we put funding in place to begin the transition of, and this is important, a combination system. I keep hearing folks say, we can't believe you're doing away with our volunteer fire companies. Okay, we are not, in capital letters, NOT, not. This is merely us infusing people into our current 14 volunteer fire companies to ensure that we have the right amount of people to bring a service to our citizens. In my mind, public safety is the #1 reason, and that's why I ran for this office, to ensure that people are safe. So we're going to infuse some people into our volunteer firehouses to make sure that our ambulances get out 24/7, our fire engines, our rescue squads, our ladders, everything else. And it's going to be, I believe, one of the best combination systems around. I think we got the right guy for the job when we hired him during COVID last year, which was challenging in itself. But Director Robert McCoy has got the helm. He's in the helm of making sure that we move forward. A man that came with a tremendous amount of experience. So beginning after July the 1st, you will begin to see how this will come together and work. So that's another highlight of our budget. We also did quite a few other things with some of our one-time monies. It's interesting to me, and back to my public safety theme, and I know people would get tired of hearing me say it, but it's always going to be what I talk about. Our sheriff has experienced some growing pains. He's got staff in Westminster. He's got staff in another location. He's got staff in another location. He's got staff in another location. You get where I'm going here? It's incredibly challenging, especially these days, for law enforcement to be working out of closets in various places around this county. Unacceptable to me. I pushed hard this year to get a headquarters building on the capital projects in the next few years. And I again want to thank my colleagues for hearing the message, working with me to get that on there. So as most of you know, we've got a good bit of property just on the other side here of our facility here on Center Street, right across from the cemetery, if you will. We continue to purchase that as we can. And not only do we have a new state's attorney building that's going to be over there, but now I'm proud to say that we're going to have a sheriff's headquarters building that might also include some other public safety factions, if you will. And how incredible is this going to be? All under one roof? Wow. Amazing. So really want to, I'm happy about that. I know this one for my, and I call him this, he's my colleague, but he's also my dear friend. Dick Weaver, who I've, had the pleasure of working with for the last 6.5 years. We finally got some things done over at what used to be the North Carroll High School. I think something that we're all, not only Commissioner Weaver, but we're all going to be proud of. And we put some funding in place to make sure that that occurs. And we also, listen, this is something that kind of goes under the radar. The landfill in Carroll County. We've got a real serious issue with the landfill here in Carroll County. And my other good friend, who I've worked with for the last 6.5 years, and I call them my friends as well as my colleagues, and that's Dennis Frazier. Dennis was in front of this one to make sure that we have the right funding in place to get the landfill to where it needs to be. Trash is a problem, ladies and gentlemen. It always has been, always will be. A lot of people take it for granted. You throw stuff in the trash can and you don't think about where it goes. You just know that somebody dumped it and it's out of your place. But it's a real problem. And I'm not going to get into the details of it, but it's going to be a problem for years to come. So we're working on that as well. And I want to thank Dennis for being a part of that. And I think, let me see what else I got here real quick, Mike, before you give me the hook. I also want to thank another gentleman who's become a very good friend of mine as well. And that's Ed Rostein. Ed took over the helm from me as president back in January. I had a tough year. And certainly, they saw that, but they worked right by my side. But Ed took the reins on that, and I'm honored to say that he's a part of us here in Carroll too. Very, very incredible gentleman who came with a ton of experience. So I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my good friends that I work with. Finally, one thing I want to talk about real quick. Anybody notice the amount of trash that's along the roadways here in Carroll lately? Unacceptable to me, unacceptable to all of us. I, for the life of me, can't understand why folks have to throw whatever it is out their window when they're driving by someone's house along a roadway. For those of you that have been to the quaint little village of Pleasant Valley, or had the incredible opportunity to come through that lovely little town or village, if you will, has anybody ever seen a McDonald's out there? There's got to be one. Constantly, I'm picking up French fry boxes, Big Mac boxes, McDonald's cups. I told my wife, Kathy, I'd love to know where that McDonald's is. It certainly would make it easier for me to go to that one than going to the one in Westminster, but I haven't found it yet. Anyway, my point here is we have got to get a hold on that. I brought it up to our Environmental Advisory Council a couple months ago. Another great board and commission that we have. They have done amazing things. Not only have they worked on the solar thing, which you probably all just read about in the Carroll County Times. We're going to be going solar here very shortly. But we also brought it up about the trash here along the roadway. So they're coming up with a plan. But I'd like to get the message out, and all of us would like to get the message out. Hang on to your crap instead of throwing it out the window until you get to a trash can, and get that message out to everybody. I'm gonna try to do a campaign where we've got Dick Weaver in a trash can, inside of a trash can on several billboards along 140, with just his head coming out, with the message of throw trash here. Don't you think that's a great idea, ladies and gentlemen? I think that's a wonderful idea.
And I think on that note, we should probably move to the Q&A before you upset all of your fellow commissioners. And before we move to the actual time where we can have people ask some questions, we do need to say, before you go to McDonald's, Commissioner Wentz, there's a lot of nice little local restaurants around here that you could go to, and I could name a slew of them. And we've got about
Listen,
40 of them
hey,
on the chamber
you-
website.
You know, you've seen me. You and I have run into each other at many of those fabulous.
Absolutely.
I'm only saying that because.
I know what you're saying.
Okay, fine.
I know.
So knock it off, McMullen.
No problem. I just had to give you a hard time after you said I didn't wear any pants during these things. I had to get back to you. All right. So do we have any Q&A here? Do we have any questions? I've not seen any come up yet. I'll ask one. You know, you can't get on Facebook without seeing things in the Westminster online community, people going back and forth. Where do we stand with actual taxes here in Carroll? Where do you see the taxes going in the future? I know we've always been lower than pretty much everybody. And where do you see taxes on the actual real estate going? I think those are going to be going up because homes are going to be worth more. Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I would, Mike. That is interesting. I think most of my colleagues got a couple questions when the constant yield tax advertisement went into the Carroll County Times. I think it was last week or the week before. It's interesting. The State Department of Assessment and Taxation, SDAT, remember that acronym, because they're the folks you need to yell at, not the Carroll County Commissioners. But SDAT tells us what we have to put in the paper to the specific word about the constant yield tax rate. And the way that it's worded, it looked like we were raising property taxes, but we are not. I want to get that out there. The SDAT people have this lovely way of putting things, and that's how we can't veer away from that. So it is what it is, the wording in there. But our property tax rates and income tax rates here, by the way, which are the two big revenue sources for Carroll County, have stayed the same. And I'm proud to say they've stayed the same for the last 6.5, now almost 7 years that we've been in office. So SDAT kind of rules the roost there. Yes, we have seen assessments go up. That's the state that does that. And we've also seen some problems with folks that have agricultural land, that have some livestock, if you will. And SDAT rolls in and does inspections on them once in a while and changes your tax rate from ag to residential, which is a huge increase. So I know Dick and I, Weaver and I have had quite a few folks in our districts that's happened to. So we've had to deal with that. So no tax rate, no tax increase here. And I'm very proud that my colleagues were there with that as well. I mean, can you imagine doing a tax increase in the middle of a pandemic? Talk about lack of common sense, so there's that. Where are they going in the future, Mike? I will say that at some point I would guess that yes, there will probably need to be a tax increase here as we continue to have to provide the services that people want. We're going to have to do something here. I've always said that we have to live within our means, and we're doing that really well. But with now the new fire and EMS that's coming on board, and by the way, we're picking up about 152 employees right out of the gate, beginning in July. Now that's going to be spread out. We're not going to hire 152 people on July the 2nd. That's going to be spread out, but we're going to be picking up that amount of employees as county employees, which we haven't seen the likes of for a long time. And not only that, but that includes then folks that we have to add here. We're going to have to add people in HR, in payroll, in risk management. So it's a huge undertaking. With that said, there's going to have to probably be a time that there's going to have to be some sort of an increase in order to meet the needs of government services. When is that time? I can't answer that. I really can't. But I want to point out something real quick on that question. I hear all the time people say, well, if it's just a penny or 2 pennies, that's only $125 for my household. I can't even take my family out to dinner on that. Well, here's the problem with that statement. I've got a lot of folks in my district that $125 to them means a heck of a lot more than going out to one of your great small businesses to do a family dinner. It means putting the basics in their home. And we can't forget that. That's another wonderful thing about Carroll County. The variation between the southern part of the county and the northern part of the county in a county this size is quite amazing. It really is. And I've often said, you want to take a ride with me up in the northern part of my district and see how folks are attempting to do what they can do, and then take a ride down in the southern part of the district and all points in between. I'll show you the variation that we have here. So I think it's important to remember that that statement that I can't take my family out to dinner for that seems to be just a little bit closed-minded, if you will. We're all in this together. We all ride on the roads. We all need our fire or our ambulance or our police car. Let's not forget that.
Thanks. That's an excellent point. All right, do we have any questions for Commissioner Wantz? I have one here. Jay Mishi, thanks for being here, Commissioner Wantz. Do you anticipate anything changing for the county in terms of state aid as a result of the census? So as a result of the census, any kind of aid change?
Yeah, by the way, thank you for popping in here, Jay Mishi. For those people that don't know Jay Mishi is the new, everybody remembers Nancy McCormick. Jay Mishi is the new Director of Economic Development for the great town of Taneytown. And when you see Jay, he's already told me he's the Mish. Call him Mish. But he, a great guy. I had a chance to meet him. I do think that we are going to see some changes. By the way, we've put a group of people together to begin looking at that once we get the details on what the census numbers are when it comes to the districts, the legislative districts. But I do think there's going to be some changes as a result of the numbers. And, you know, we did an excellent job here in Carroll getting those numbers, by the way. I believe we were the #1 jurisdiction in the state for the percentage of the count that we did. Again, we did that 10 years ago, and we did it again. And some of the folks that serve on the chamber were part of that, Mike. You know that. We had a good committee put together. But yeah, Jay, I do believe we're going to see some additional funding or some funding tweaked, if you will. But remember, most of the state funding comes through that quaint little village of Annapolis, and Carroll County down there is like, I don't know, it's like a baby duck in a goose pond. You know, you want to quack as loud as you can, but they might listen, but invariably they probably aren't going to. That's the thing that's always been a challenge for me. You know, that the way that our legislation is set up, the Prince George's, Montgomery, Baltimore tell us up here what to do. And that's unacceptable to me, because who knows better what we need to do than those of us that actually are here.
Excellent point. Thank you for the question, Jay. Okay, it looks like we have a question from Jim McCarron.
My old friend, Jim McCarron.
Yep, on the chamber board, former mayor of Taneytown. We in Carroll have been proud of our ability to preserve farmland. I've not heard much about this lately. How are we doing? Is this still on our priority list?
It is, Jim, and it's good. I can see you, Jim. You're on my screen. It's good to see you. Good to hear a question from you too. Worked closely with Jim over the years in Taneytown. A great guy who his heart and soul was in that town up there. So thank you, Jim, for all that you've been and done for Tony. And he's not going anywhere. He's still up there, by the way. So anyway, but yeah, we are approaching 75,000 acres now of preservation. We kept all of the funding in place for ag land preservation for this coming year. We have an event scheduled. Give me a thumbs up here, Dick. October of this year, is that correct? And we're going to have that, I believe, at the Farm Museum, I think. And we're going to honor our journey here of ag preservation with all that we've done. It's not stopping. Our goal is still 100,000 acres. We continue to roll on with that. And Jim, you know as well as anybody else, you know, I see some of that banter on Facebook too. You know, I love Facebook. Facebook is the dumpster of our society. Speaking of, let me get back to the landfill. I'd love to throw Facebook at the landfill, and that would be wonderful. And then we wouldn't have that crap anymore. Now you got me on another rant and rave, McMullen. Anyway, we have people that poo-poo ag preservation. Ag preservation is why Carroll is what it is. It provides that incredibly delicate balance of not only good economic growth, great residential area, but wonderful open land as well. And listen, what's our heritage here in Carroll? Another trivia question. The second one today, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I know, it's ag. So we have, it not only preserves the beauty of our county, but it honors our heritage. And we've got a lot of great things that are happening in our ag areas. And so, yes, we will continue that effort. Most of you know that 2022 brings a new election for commissioners. I am incredibly hopeful. And Rostein, my colleague, Ed Rostein, just fell off his chair. I used the word hope. But I'm incredibly hopeful that those that get elected at the end of next year continue the efforts, because that's what makes Carroll County so unique. By the way, we're the leader, I think, might be on this, I don't know, we're the leader on the eastern seaboard of ag land preservation, and that will continue as long as we have anything to do with it. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have any more questions? I'll say one thing, talking about ag, it makes me think about leadership. Carroll, we have Ag Day coming up this week from today. So it makes me also think we've got 42 people in the class for next year. And I know Steve announced this. We had 2 as of yesterday when I gave Steve the information. We're down to 1 open spot for Leadership Carroll for next year. So I would highly recommend, you got to ask yourself, in a time like this, COVID being what it is, how do we get so many people to sign up for this amazing thing that we do every year in partnership with our great community college? And it's because this is an unbelievably awesome thing, Leadership Carroll. 1 more spot left. It could be yours. Get a hold of me. You can find it on the website, carrollcountychamber.org. You can call me up on my cell at 410-977-3111. But if you want that spot, you got to act soon. So are there any other questions? Looks like we're kind of winding down with that.
If there's no more questions, Mike, I have about 45 minutes of dialogue that
We probably could do that unless you wanted to put it to like music. You could sing to us. We haven't had that in a while. So
Hey,
maybe we'll pass. Maybe we'll pass on that.
I'm going to say this about that. If I sang, it would be incredibly better than what you've heard in the past.
I'm sure it would. It would be extraordinary, extraordinary.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. I'm going to do a couple last announcements. I want to thank you again for being with us today, Commissioner Wantz, and thank everybody for being here. I want to thank our sponsors. We couldn't do it without you guys. Again, our friends from CMC, from the library. I talked about Leadership Carroll. I want to encourage you once again, Anirban Basu. This guy is funny and so smart, and it's free. 8:30 Tuesday. We're using a Zoom website where we can have up to 400 on it. So we've got room. You just have to go to our website, carrollcountychamber.org. to register for it. And when you go to our website, you can find all of our members. We've got about 625 local members. So try to keep as much of your money here in Carroll as you possibly can. And our website is a great place to start because we have so many of them actually listed there. Last but not least, aside from all of these events that we like to do and to promote the business community and all the different events we do here in Carroll, we like to have a lot of fun, and we've gone on trips. Last couple of years, we haven't been able to because of what's happened, COVID. We had a trip to the Amalfi Coast scheduled for October of last year. It didn't work. It's happening possibly in October of this year with a very small group. We've been to Cuba 3 times, China twice, Austria, Greece, Italy. But next year, I can announce to you right now, we don't have an email out yet, but in March of next year, so this is March of 2022, we're going to go to Ireland. We're going to spend St. Patrick's Day over in Ireland. So you want to go on that trip.
I wonder who picked that.
That was, I picked that one, sorry. And then in October of next year, we're going back to Greece. We went to Greece it'll be a couple years ago in the fall of this year. So it'll be three years since we'd been there. It was an amazing trip. We had like 55 folks on the trip. It is a great, great trip. And we'll have an ad out on that that will be soon. You don't have to be an actual member of ours. You don't even have to live in Carroll. So we have folks that bring friends from all over the US on this trip with them. So I'd say, please check that out. So aside from that, I want to thank you again, all of you, for being here with us. And I guess the meeting's adjourned. Thank you. And Steve, thanks again, Steve Wantz and Steve Aquino. Thanks, guys.